Hi guys, welcome to another Zoo Time. I am Mikey and we have the lovely Miss Molly moderating for us today. So I'm super excited about today's Zoo Time because we've been traveling different places in the world. We got to explore some continents, and then last week Molly did a great aquatic habitats lesson for us. So today we're actually going to another type of habitat. And it's not in the water, but it is a place that has lots and lots of water. And I'm going to show you a couple pictures of the place we are going to visit today. And if you think you have an idea, you can type it into the box to Miss Molly where you think we're visiting. But this place is a super cool place because it's not only beautiful, it has tons of green and blue and lots of life. There's also a lot of rain that happens in this place. There's a lot of rain. So if we have any friends joining us for the first time today, remember that we use that Q&A function. So if you ever have a question or want to communicate, go ahead and type into the box to Miss Molly.
Bennett said the jungle.
Ooh.
This said rainforest. Vivian said rainforest.
It's very good, my friends. We are going to the rainforest. And a lot of times people do call it the jungle. Like when we say the jungle, yeah. A lot of times when we say, like, talk about animals that live in the jungle or things that happen in the jungle, that's kind of like a common term, and we're actually talking about the rainforest. And the rainforest, I'm so excited. It's so cool because, like I said, not only is it beautiful, it's very, very special. Scientists love studying the rainforest because there's so much biodiversity, and I think we've talked about this term a couple times, but when there's biodiversity, that's how much life is living in any one given place. And the rainforest is a place that has tons of biodiversity. So not only are there so many different plants that live there, there's also so many different animals that live there. So today we'll be meeting a couple animals that live in the rainforest, but we'll also talk about some animals that we don't actually have here at the JMZ, but that live in the rainforest, because a lot of people's like favorite animals or animals that are so cool are from this really, really special habitat. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna show you a couple of the plants that live in the rainforest. You guys have probably eaten so many things that come from there, and you might not even know it. And the thing why plants are cool that live in the rainforest is because the animals that live there actually need those plants that live there. It's something, it's like a symbiotic relationship where the plants actually benefit from having the animals there, and vice versa. The animals need those plants to live. So we'll talk a little bit later about that symbiosis, which means helping each other with our first animal. But let me show you a couple pictures because, like I said, you guys have probably had things that live there. So this is a picture of a papaya, and this is a fruit that's a really popular fruit from the rainforest. I'm going to show you. I don't know if you guys know what's inside there, but those are actually tons and tons of seeds inside the papaya plant. And a lot of the animals that live in the rainforest are seed eaters. So we'll be looking today for what things might have seeds. So we can look at the face of an animal to give us a hint about whether it may or may not eat seeds. We have pineapples. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is actually a huge pineapple plant. And animals that don't eat seeds a lot of times eat fruit. So we have our mangoes that are our papayas that we looked at, and then we have pineapples, so they can eat the fruits, they can eat the seeds. Let's see what else we get from the rainforest. Ooh, this is maybe not as exciting, but we get pepper. So there's pepper plants. If you ever put salt and pepper on your food at dinner time, pepper is something that grows there as well, and that gives you an idea of what it looks like before it comes to our tables at home. Okay. Ooh, we have cinnamon. So if you guys have ever had a cinnamon roll, comes from sticks that look like this actually before they're processed and turned into how we get like sprinkled cinnamon at home. Guys, if you have your hands up, go ahead and use that chat function for Miss Molly to be able to either answer your question or reiterate your comment to me, okay? Ooh, this is maybe for my adult friends watching. This is coffee beans. So we get coffee beans that grow in the rainforest. So some things that are really important to us. I think you guys might care more about this one, which is vanilla. So if you've ever had something that had vanilla flavoring or vanilla ice cream, we get vanilla from the rainforest.
Max just predicted this one.
Ooh. All right, Max. There it is. Thank you. Thank you. We have chocolate that grows in the rainforest. It actually comes from cacao beans. So if you look here, it's the pod, and that's actually how chocolate grows. And it doesn't look exactly how we see it when we eat it, but eventually it will be processed and turned into that. So these are all different types of examples of plants that grow in the rainforest. So a lot of times we see pictures and we just see a ton of trees, but the trees actually are producing things. They're producing fruits and vegetables and things like chocolate and vanilla, spices and herbs that we all use. And so those grow, and why they grow and live in the rainforest, our animals live and cohabitate at the same time. And I'm just going to show you two quick pictures. We have a monkey with a banana, which is another food that grows. And then we have, I think this is a bat eating papaya. I don't know exactly what the fruit is, but it just shows you how the animals that live there actually use the plants that are growing there. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a little journey today. And I'm so excited because scientists divide up the rainforest into 4 layers. So like sometimes we talk about layers on Earth here. We talked about in Shelter with Science how there's air and atmosphere around us and we have different layers on Earth. But the 4 layers of the rainforest, we're actually going to move our way from the bottom to the top in the layers that the scientists lay out. And then we're going to talk about different animals that would live at each layer. We'll come back to plants in a little bit. Okay, so the first layer of the rainforest is something called the forest floor. This is like the easiest one for me to remember. And we're going to put the forest floor down at the bottom here because in the rainforest where there are a ton of animals, that's where we would see these animals. They're actually on the bottom on the floor. So I want you to put on your thinking cap and think if you can think of any animals that might live on the rainforest floor. But I'm going to put up our first animal that's a really cool one, I think, that lives in the rainforest. And it is an anteater. An anteater is kind of a common term. There's actually 4 types of anteaters. And so when we talk about anteaters, we kind of use that term as like a general, but there are giant anteaters that live there. So these guys are actually on the forest floor. They don't climb. We're going to put them at the bottom here next to the forest floor.
Mikey, sorry, we had a question about how does food grow in the rainforest?
Okay, that's a really good question. So the food that grows in the rainforest, a lot of times it's actually going to start on the forest floor because there's so much light there and so much rain. So plants need certain things to grow, right? Plants need water and they need sunlight and they need soil or nutrients in a way. And different plants actually get those things in different ways. But because the rainforest has so many plants, different plants actually get their food different ways. So we'll get up in the rainforest a little bit and you'll see there's some plants that have really, really, really big leaves. Their leaves stretch out like this, like literally how my arms are, they go out. And because those arms or because their leaves go out like this, they're able to catch sunlight and lets them grow bigger. Some of the plants that live on the forest floor will actually always stay small because they don't get as much sunlight. They're actually blocked by all these other plants that grow above it. And so instead of getting their nutrients from the sunlight, they'll actually get nutrients sometimes from those bugs that live on the forest floor or other animals. We're going to meet an animal in just a minute who actually helps the rainforest to grow. So I'll come back to that a little bit. But because there's so much water in the rainforest and there's a lot of light and there's also a lot of animals that live there, when animals go to the bathroom, when they poop and they pee, that actually helps those plants to keep growing. So it's kind of a system where all these different parts play in, but they do need certain things to survive and they get those needs met. The plants get the needs, the things that they need to keep growing from the place that they live. So it's a really good question. I'm going to come back to that a little more. And if you want to box me in any way, Miss Molly, let me know if there's a place I should go with that. Okay, so we can see our forest floor down here and our anteater, yes? Okay, cool. So the anteaters are forest floor animals, and just like their name says, they eat a ton of bugs. So they do eat ants, but they also eat termites, and on the end of their feet, they have these super sharp claws. I don't have an anteater claw to show you, but if you take your 2 fingers and kind of hook it, that's how their claws are, and they almost walk on them like this. Their toes go down like this, and they walk on their claws, and they use those claws to actually dig into things called termite mounds. So they'll walk. They use their super sharp claws to rip into these termite mounds and open them, and they have super long tongues that come out and they go inside the termite mounds and they suck them out. So these guys are kind of what we call insectivores, which means that the majority of their diet is made up of insects. And this is a big animal that lives on the forest floor, but we actually have an animal that lives here at the JMZ that's much smaller that lives on the forest floor. So I'm going to take out this first animal and I'll tell you about it, and I'll tell you a little more about how they help the plants to grow. So like I said, my first animal is pretty small, but it is a forest floor dweller in the rainforest. And what it is a Madagascar hissing cockroach. So Madagascar is actually a really small island it's in Africa, but it's on its own. It's kind of like, you know, surrounded by water. And these guys live on this island. Now, these animals, a lot of times people think like, oh, cockroaches are so gross. But they have very, very cool adaptations. They have really special things that help them to survive. And I'm going to tell you a couple. So what these guys do in the rainforest, their super special jobs is there is something called a detritivore, which means that they eat dead and decaying things. So this guy would walk along the forest floor and he would munch. He would eat like those dead leaves that had fallen, maybe some banana peels that had been thrown down by the lemurs, just foliage and dead things that had come down and made their way to the bottom of the rainforest. And he'll eat those. He'll use his tiny little mouth and he'll eat them, and he'll walk along. And as he eats that food and as he walks along, like I mentioned, he's actually going to go to the bathroom. He's going to poop, and he's going to get those things that he just ate. All those nutrients are going to come out of his body, and his poop actually turns into new soil. It acts as like a fertilizer. And so the forest takes his decay, takes his excess, his waste from his body, and it turns it into new plants. So when I mentioned things being symbiotic, it's like he is surviving in the rainforest because it's providing him food, and he's doing a job. He's actually keeping it clean. If we didn't have detritivores on the forest floor, imagine all the things that would be there. It'd be like dead leaves and leftover banana peels and like moldy fruit all over the place. But because we have animals that live along the floor and eat those things, it actually not only keeps the rainforest clean, but because he makes new soil, it helps those things to keep growing. So it provides him food, and then he provides a service for it. Madagascar cockroaches on their own are actually very symbiotic because they have little tiny, now he wants to move, they have little tiny mites that live on their body. I'm going to switch him out. I've been referring to him as a guy, and I actually know that this Madagascar hissing cockroach is a boy. This is his head right here, and if you can see, he has two big horns. There's one horn and there's another horn on the side. Now, in this family, this type of cockroach, Madagascar hissing cockroaches, the boys have these big bumps that you can see here, and we call them horns. And I can tell that he's a boy because he has those horns. I'm gonna see if I can take out my girl cockroach, and I actually can tell that she's a girl because she doesn't have those big horns. She has much smaller little bumps on her head. She's actually a smaller cockroach than him too. And that's not because she's a girl, it's just because she's younger. But if I hold her head here, you can see those bumps are actually much smaller than when I showed you the boy. They both have that set of antenna there, but her little bumps, and I haven't, let me see if I can hold them side by side. Okay. Oh, maybe almost, okay. So, she's eating. There's some cantaloupe in here that she's eating. So Madagascar cockroaches, in addition to having a symbiotic relationship with the rainforest, they also have a super cool defense because they live on the forest floor and there's so many other animals that live in the rainforest. They can make a super duper loud hissing sound. And none of my cockroaches in here actually did that. But what they would do if they're threatened is they do a hiss, just like you could practice at home. Go like, hiss. We think of a snake making a hissing sound, but they don't really hiss that much. These guys are actually really big hissers. And if you think about how many cockroaches would live together, there's hundreds to thousands. Even here at the museum, we have a colony of them, and a ton of them live together. And if you lift up a log, there will be like hundreds of them scurrying around. So imagine if you were a predator animal. This You can see he's holding onto the side there. Not much of a threat to you, but if you walked into a habitat where there was hundreds and thousands of these guys, and all of a sudden they all started hissing, you would hear a really, really big noise. So even if this is not a scary animal, they can defend themselves through this adaptation they have, which is hissing. And when they do that, they're actually pushing air out of the side of their body. They're not using their mouth to make that hissing noises. They have something called spiracles on the side of their body. So just like you would push air out of your mouth, they're pushing air out of these holes on the side, and that's actually what creates that hissing sound. So just like we have our anteaters on the forest floor, we also have Madagascar hissing cockroaches, in addition to lots of other animals. But this is our first layer of the rainforest. This is our forest floor. All right, Ms. Molly, any questions?
Yeah. Well, first of all, Felix and Calvin just noticed that they look like a dead leaf and hisses like a snake.
Very cool. And the fact that they look like a dead leaf is actually a really good observation, because in addition to that hissing noise, if they look like something that's dead and maybe not even an animal, a larger predator, maybe like an anteater, isn't going to try to eat them as much, right? If they think it's a dead leaf, they're going to go after something that they think is actually their food. Great observation.
Are the cockroaches dangerous? Will it bite your fingers?
They're not dangerous to me because they're so small. Their mouths, I know they're hard to see, but they actually have really tiny heads, and their mouths are so small. It wouldn't be able to bite me, and they're not dangerous to me in any way. Sometimes, like I mentioned, people are grossed out by cockroaches. There are different species of cockroaches, so we don't have this type of cockroach here in the Bay Area. Like if you ever seen a cockroach outside of a restaurant or maybe like in a cupboard or something, those ones are probably going to be like German or a different type of cockroach. These ones, because of the mites that live on their body, they're actually very clean. The mites clean them, and so this is one of like the cleanest species of cockroaches we actually have. So they're not dangerous to me in any way.
Does it eat dead meat?
Ooh, I don't think so. Not that I know of. It's possible they could. They'll eat, but if you think of what's going to be available on the rainforest floor, there's not going to be a lot of dead meat. Animals that are carnivores that are eating meat they're going to eat their prey. They're not going to leave it behind for the cockroaches to eat. And like I said, because their mouths are so small, anything that would be dead meat would probably be really big for them to eat. They're going to eat like really tiny pieces of fruit and foliage.
Are they endangered?
I don't think so. I don't know. No. We'll look at. They're not.
They're
okay.
common pets, so I think they're like the least concern.
Okay. Yeah. Good question, though. I appreciate you thinking about endangered animals. There are a lot of animals in the rainforest that are threatened in some way or vulnerable, but these guys aren't one of them.
Someone asked, how many tips are there? Did they mean maybe the horn?
Yeah. So the horns on the head, they have two. They have one on either side, and that's males and females. The males are just a lot bigger. So sometimes it actually helps to look at them next to each other. But just because I've worked with them for a while, I can tell pretty easily if it's a big horn or a little horn. So they have two horns, and then they have a set of antennae that you guys might have seen that came out. So 2 pieces of that, but we call it one set. They're insects, so they have 6 legs on their body, if that's another type of like tip that comes off. Yeah, but because they're insects, we have a good idea about their body too. They kind of have, like their head and thorax and abdomen and other common features of insects.
And then since we're moving away from the forest floor, someone asked if a banana slug was a rainforest.
A banana slug is a forest animal for sure. I don't know if it's a rainforest animal.
It might be part of our temperate rainforest.
That was my thought. Yeah. So like if you guys go to Santa Cruz, there are forests over there, which are rainforests. Actually, scientists kind of go back and forth on the definition of a rainforest because there's different amounts of rain that quantify a rainforest. So I think that you could say a banana slug would be maybe not a lot of the animals we're going to talk about. Well, our animals that live here are from the African rainforest. So like I said, the Madagascar hissing cockroaches are in Africa, Madagascar is in Africa, and our other animals we're going to meet are from Africa as well. But there's a lot of rainforest in South and Central America that people talk about. So I don't know if you would find banana slugs there, but you could find banana slugs in our forest here, like Miss Molly said, a temperate rainforest maybe. Cool. That's all of our questions for, okay, beautiful. So thank you guys for joining me on the forest floor. We are gonna go to our next layer now, which is a cool name. And it's called the Understory, So moving through the rainforest, we go from slightly below the forest floor, we go up a little bit to the Understory. And the Understory has a lot of cool animals too, but a very special one that lives here is this guy. What is this? Can my friends type to Miss Molly what this animal is? I'm gonna pop it here. So it's in the understory, right above the forest floor. And I will give you a hint. This animal is what we call an apex predator. So a lot of animals in the rainforest either are eaten or eat other animals, but this apex predator doesn't really have anything that hunts it. It is the main hunter.
Wona and Rob both said jaguar.
Excellent, my friends. It is a jaguar. And a jaguar is so cool. Well, they're cool because they're big cats, right? But I'm going to tell you a special fact, and it might be a tiny bit gross, but it's really, really cool. So most big cats, when they eat their prey, they go for their jugular, which is a part in your neck here. And so if I was like a lion or a tiger that wanted to eat something, I'm going to go for this area to kill it, to be able to get my prey. But jaguars are so cool because they're one of the only big cats that instead of going for the jugular, they actually crush the skull, which sounds crazy, but they have, their jaws are so strong to be able to do that. If you guys were here when we talked about air pressure, we talked about how air has weight, and the strength of their jaw has so much pressure. I forget the number. It's like 800 pounds per square inch that they can crush. And they've measured this before. And so that makes them so cool. And these guys will actually eat things like anteaters. They'll eat things like capybaras. They'll eat things like monkeys. These are all animals that live in the rainforest. And jaguars will eat a lot of them. They have super special spots. If you look at their body, that's how we can tell big cats apart sometimes, is because of their spots. So a jaguar's spots actually have something called a rosette inside of them. And if I pull this up again, you can actually see inside of the markings, they have like little tiny spots. And that's what that rosette is. So this is our next layer. And we don't actually have an animal here that lives in the understory, but there are lots and lots of animals in the rainforest that would live in the understory. In just a second, we're going to move on to our next animal, and we're going to go to our next layer. But are there any questions about the understory or about jaguars?
Do frogs live in the rainforest?
Frogs do live in the rainforest, and frogs are a super cool one because if you think about a frog, they can actually go a couple different places in the rainforest, right? Frogs are going to be primarily back here on the forest floor, but a frog hops, and they also have special webbed feet for climbing, so they can actually hang out between and in both of these layers. So some animals are really clear, like our cockroaches aren't going to get above the forest floor, but a frog might. A frog might go between these two layers, and that's going to be the case with some of the animals, especially as we get higher up. They might have one layer that they kind of call home, but they might be able to have some mobility between layers, which is pretty cool, and that makes it even more biodiverse. Okay, good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Max should teach his classes. He just predicted our next layer.
Max, you're a professional rainforester. Okay, our next layer is called the canopy layer. We're gonna put this right here. The canopy layer is a little higher up. So the forest floor is on the ground. The understory is literally, they call it the understory because it's like kind of like the bottom of the rainforest. It's off of the ground, but the plants aren't super high plants. The plants aren't big plants that go up into the sky. They kind of are still growing. They get a little bit of sunlight, but they don't have big enough leaves to catch big sunlight. But our canopy layer here is actually where the plants that we see that get really big are. So our top tip layer isn't even, the tip tops of the plants come out of the top layer that we'll get to, but this layer has probably the most plants in it. And the leaves get really big, and those are the leaves that can catch all of that sunlight, that they grow big and broad. Now, before we get to our animal from the canopy layer, I'm actually going to show you a plant that we would find in the rainforest. And I apologize, this plant is not doing great. It's a little bit dead, but I want you to see the structure of it because it shows how these animals can have these, again, symbiotic relationships in the rainforest. Thank you so much, Miss Molly. So this is a pitcher plant. And why it's called a pitcher plant is because it has these leaves that hang off the side. Friends, these are super duper dead, okay? Normally I'll show you a picture of what they're supposed to look like, but they're called pitchers because they actually have like little tiny holes in the top where these things can collect rain. So imagine this plant lives in the rainforest and it rains and it's alive and its little holes are open and it catches rain. And these pitchers, they actually sit there and they collect rain. So You can almost think of it as like a tiny, tiny swimming pool. But this plant is actually carnivorous, which means that it eats meat. And what it does is when it collects and it fills up with rainwater, bugs will actually come in and the bugs will fall into the bottom. And the plant produces almost like kind of like a substance. But if you think about our tummies, when we eat food, it makes an acid to break down our food. And these pitcher plants do the same thing. It creates this substance that breaks down the bugs that fall into it. And so it's really cool. But not only do bugs fall into it and the plant eats it, other animals will actually use this plant to get food and water from. This is a picture of a healthy looking pitcher. And if you can see right inside, there's a frog. So certain animals use these to roost in, which means that they'll go and they'll like rest and hang out there. And these frogs will actually come into the pitcher plants and they'll roost and get out of the rain maybe for a while, but they'll also steal the bugs that are inside of the plant. So the plant is trying to break down the bugs that are in there and eat them. And the frog knows that this plant is doing that. And so it'll do the same thing. It'll hop in there and it's big enough to be able to get out again where the other bugs might get stuck in the bottom. But animals do this all the time, which is super cool. This is a toad in the bottom or in the top of a pitcher plant, and it actually camouflages in really well. Whoa. This is a picture of a bat roosting inside of a pitcher plant. And you guys might be like, this is so weird. How do they fit in there? The plant that I just showed you is a very small version of a pitcher plant. Pitcher plants get huge where they could actually be like the size of my head or a little bit bigger. And that's not the whole plant. That's just the pitcher part. So imagine my face. A bat could totally fit in here. A frog could totally like hang out. So I showed you a small version of that plant. They can get really big. And the last one is actually crazy. This is a picture of a salamander. Is this a North American, you said, Miss Molly? This pitcher plant?
So.
Okay, so there's a certain type of North American pitcher plant, and they were actually eating salamanders. They were making enough substance to break them down. So some animals use them to roost in and find housing and find food, and some of them actually get eaten by the pitcher plants. So there might be some pitcher plants in the canopy layer where we're going next, and more. Oh, okay. So Miss Molly says that they're the understory. So maybe if they got big, they could grow up a little bit and almost sit there, but they're probably based in the understory. But they have crazy animals in the canopy too. This is something called a kinkajou. And this animal is so wild. You can see its tongue a little bit, but they have super duper insane adaptations too. So one of them is their tongue. They have an extrudable tongue, which comes super far out. The other thing that they have, which makes them really special, is something called a prehensile tail. And different animals have prehensile adaptations, but the word prehensile means to grab or grasp something. So our hands are super prehensile and we don't really think about it. But if you think about other animals, maybe you have like a dog or a cat at home, they don't have prehensile body parts. They don't have anything where they can go and grab and pull it. Think about what could go and pick an apple. That would give you a good idea of whether or not something had a prehensile body part. So these guys, they don't actually use their prehensile tails to pick fruit, but they use them as like another limb to hang on and to grab things. These animals are crazy nocturnal. So they sleep almost all day long and then they're awake at night. They actually are weird because they aren't related to a lot of other animals that live in the rainforest. Their closest relatives are something called an olingo, which looks super similar to them. They also are related to coatis, but they're not related, and coatis are related to raccoons, but they're not related to like monkeys or primates or marsupials or anything like that. They're kind of in their own weird little class. So this is an animal that would live in the canopy layer, but we also have another resident here who is a canopy layer animal. So I'm gonna move this over, and some of my friends might know her. It'd be super cool. I'm gonna put this right here. Maybe right. And I'm gonna grab her and she will hang out with us. and she is letting her presence be known. So this is Miss Scully, and Scully is a type of animal called an African gray parrot. I'm gonna hold her right up there. African gray parrots are really cool animals. Scientists have actually done lots and lots of studies on them because they're so smart. So there was a very special study done with a parrot named Alex, and there was a researcher named Irene, I believe, and she wanted to learn about how smart African grays were and the things that they could do. So there's a book called Alex and Me, and she documents all the things that Alex the parrot did. He could recognize up to 50 objects. He had a really big vocabulary. But the thing when we talk about parrots, people always ask, can she talk? And she can talk. I can't make her talk, but she can say lots of things. She says hi and bye. She meows like a cat. She pretends like the phone is ringing. And as you can see, she's very curious, right? She's looking, she's checking out what's happening. But parrots do something called mimicking. So she's actually not coming up with her own words. She's listening to the things that I'm saying, that Molly's saying, all the zookeepers are saying, and so she mimics those back. She repeats what she's heard. And sometimes it's funny because she'll actually do like a man's voice. Sometimes she'll say hello to herself. She'll say, hi, Scully. So you know that she's repeating something that someone else has said. Now, Scully has a trick that she sometimes will do, sometimes she will not do. We're gonna see if she's gonna do it to show off her intelligence for you. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place her on this perch behind me, and I'm gonna see if she will do a trick for her favorite treat, which is a peanut. So let's see if Miss Scully wants to do this today or not. I'm gonna put you up there. Good girl. And what she has, if you can see, so she's on her perch, and I actually have a chain here that's connected to a little bowl, and I'm gonna place her treat in this little bowl and see if she wants it. And she can actually see that it's over there. I'm gonna give her two things. I'm gonna give her an option if she wants a peanut or a goldfish, or maybe she wants both. Would you like these things? Do you think you want these? Yeah? Okay. I'm gonna put them in your thing over here. I'm gonna put them over here. Okay, so we'll see. Sometimes she does it, sometimes she doesn't do it, but she knows where they are. You can see on the side of her perch that she's currently on, she has a ton of toys over here which she can play with. And at the museum here, they're on this side. At the museum here, she has a ring that she can hang out on in the kitchen with the zookeepers. Above us, she actually has a whole playground made of rope. So if you've ever gone to like the park and played on a rope swing or anything like that, she kind of has a playground like that above us. And like I said, she might decide to not do the trick. She's never been on camera before, and she's probably like, this is a very weird setup. But Scully's a really good example of a canopy layer animal. So lots of the birds in the rainforest, they can obviously fly, so they don't have to stay at one level. But where they roost is gonna be in the canopy layer. And I'm gonna get a picture. Excuse me, Scully. African grays are actually really, really social birds. So in the wild, sometimes they'll hang out in large groups, and you can see here's a picture of like a flock of them, and they socialize a lot, and so they're gonna be like making a lot of noises. And also they go out in the day and they forage. So Scully is a big seed eater. When I showed you those papayas earlier and I showed you all the seeds that were inside of them, if you look at her beak, she actually doesn't have a beak for eating meat. She has a beak for eating fruit and seeds. And so her toes, if you saw when we talked about Lucky in Australia, she's also zygodactylous, which means 2 of her toes go forward and 2 of them go backwards. And so those help her to hang onto the branches. And if you look at her behind me, she has decided, I believe, to do her trick for us. So she used her feet, and then she's using her beak to pull up that container that has those special treats in it for her. So you can see she had to work for it, and she went for the peanut. Excellent choice, Scully. And so now you can actually watch her use her beak and her feet, and she's gonna open that up and she's gonna get that seed inside, that peanut. And that's what she would do in the rainforest too. And there's lots of other birds that live in the rainforest. Tons of different types of parrots and macaws, but this type specifically, called the African gray. Sometimes people call it the Congo gray, but this is a big rainforest bird. And the thing that's so cool about them too is eventually she's gonna go to the bathroom. Just like we talked about the Madagascar hissing cockroach, gonna go to the bathroom. Now her bathroom's not gonna make new soil, but if she's eating fruit and seeds, what do you think might be in her bathroom that can help the rainforest grow again? Let me know. We'll let her finish eating her treat. And if you guys have an idea of what she might poop out that would help the rainforest grow again, you can type it to Miss Molly, okay? I'll say one more thing about her. Her coloration is really cool. This is a kind of standard African gray. So the majority of her body is gray. But they have those bright red tails, and those bright red tails actually help them to locate each other in the rainforest. Excuse me, where there's lots of green, those red tails stand out really brightly.
We have 3 people guessing that there are seeds.
Excellent. Yes, that's exactly what it is. She is a seed disperser. So as she eats seeds, she's taking from the rainforest, but when she goes poop and she poops those seeds out, those will actually somehow become planted again, hopefully, and that will continue to help the rainforest grow and be incredibly biodiverse with the plants that live there and the animals that live there.
Someone was asking, is her poop fertilizer?
It's not fertilizer in the same way that the Madagascar hissing cockroaches are, because she's not eating the same variety of things, right? The Madagascar hissing cockroaches are basically eating any dead foliage they can find. Scully's not going to be eating dead foliage. She's going to be eating more things that are alive in terms of plants being alive. And bird poop is kind of weird. It's kind of like their urine and their feces together. And so it's not going to fertilize in the exact same way, but it is in a sense that some things are going to grow from it because of those seeds, right? We'll let you finish. Hello.
Someone said her poop will make plants.
Exactly. That's exactly the case. I'm happy to take any other questions about Scully right now or the canopy layer before we go to our last rainforest layer. Hi, did you want?
We have 2 raised hands. Do those 2 raised hands want to type out a Q&A so Mikey can answer it? We can't call on you.
Yeah. And I just gave Scully her goldfish, so that's what she is eating now with her back to you. Not a real goldfish, just the cracker, right? And once Scully finishes that, we're going to pop her back in her house, and we are going to move to the last layer of the rainforest. And Miss Molly actually has a super special animal that lives in this last layer of the rainforest, which is really cool. Okay, I'm going to put my glove back on, and we'll move her. If you hear any noises, it's probably Scully. When I got her out, she does a couple of her loud, like, shrieks. She goes, ah!
Did you want to put up the picture of the last canopy, or do you want me to start with the
Yeah, no, give me 1 second. Let me put her back.
No, I'm not rushing you.
There it is. That is her loud yelp, and you can say one more goodbye. Can you guys ever get that close to Scully? Never in real life, huh? This is so cool. Okay, bye, Scully. Okay,
Why
friends.
is it called the canopy layer?
It's called the canopy layer because it creates a canopy. A canopy, is a covering. A canopy is like a covering. Sometimes you'll have a canopy if you have like events or something. Sorry, I didn't close that. Just watch out. I didn't close Scully's house, and now she's climbing on top of it. So like it creates a canopy, so it actually it kind of traps the things that are in there, and the sun has a hard time getting through, like I mentioned, but it helps to keep kind of like this really special place. Molly can talk a little bit more about that, but we're gonna go to the last layer, which is our emergent layer, and that is the very tip top of the rainforest. So we have forest floor, understory, canopy, and all these things live here. Most of the animals, the majority of the animals in the rainforest actually live in this canopy layer. But there are a couple animals that live in the emergent layer. And the emergent layer is like the tip top where all those kind of like pointy plants or ones that grow really, really tall and straight would pop out. So if you can think of what animals would live at the tip top, I'm gonna put a harpy eagle up on the board. And harpy eagles are super cool. They're not an apex predator. There are a couple things that will hunt a harpy eagle, but they are big predators. So they eat a ton of different things like small mammals and monkeys, smaller birds. This is the largest type of eagle the harpy eagle is. And like I said, they're big predators, but there have been a couple instances of things like a jaguar or an ocelot eating them, but they're almost always going to be eating the smaller ones, like the babies or ones that are weak, because these guys are pretty tough. They're pretty gnarly. So I'm going to put this up here. for our harpy eagle in the emergent layer. And I'm going to swap out with Miss Molly, who is going to introduce you to a very, very special, rainforest animal. And it's actually a mammal. So you will see Molly in her mask again.
I can't move this for. I'm so sorry, friends. Thank you, Miss Mikey. That right there. And then I'll get these guys out. Thank you for your patience. If you have any questions about the emergent layer, I'll take those in and make again. All right, here we go. Does anyone know with left or right? Yes, this.
Yes.
Does anyone know what kind of animal this is? Any guesses? What do I have?
Alice says bat.
Yes,
Bat. And
these
it says a bat. Abigail says a bat, says Sunal.
these are African straw-colored bats. They're both boys. I know that because you can actually see their boy parts. So see if you can keep an eye out for that. Their names are Stellar and Lunar, and they do live in Africa in the tropical rainforest. They roost in trees at during the day while they're sleeping, and then at night they forage for food. And they actually have a pretty big wingspan. They're the second largest bat in Africa, and their wingspan can be up to 1 meter long, which is about 3 feet. These guys aren't quite that big, but it's hard for them to maneuver around trees, so they live in the upper canopy where there's a little bit more space for them to fly with their big wings. What do you think they eat? Does anyone want to type in a guess and tell Miss Mikey what you think these bats would like for a snack?
Fruit, fruit, fruit.
Yeah, oh my gosh, they are fruit eaters. So all the bats we have here in Palo Alto and in actually the entire United States are bug eaters. But these guys are fruit eaters. So I have some snacks. I'm gonna see if they'll eat some grapes. Oh my gosh, these holes are so small. You guys want some grapes? All the windows are closed, perfect. Would you like a grape? And would you like a grape? Okay. You would not like a grape? Would you like a cantaloupe? We always like to give them choices with their food. We never want to force them to eat anything. So I brought grapes and cantaloupes, and you'll watch them chew, chew, chew. They're trying to get all of the juice out, and then they'll spit out the seeds and the rind and the skin. So they're actually seed dispersers, just like Scully Parrot, where they help plant new plants when their seeds fall to the forest floor. And there's some rind just went right down. That was good cantaloupe, huh? You're like, more please. So they actually eat a lot of food. They live all over Africa, but once a year, from October to December, they all migrate to one forest in Zambia. So they have the largest migration of African mammals and the farthest migration of any African animal, where they all, millions of them come to this one rainforest, and every night they eat up to 2 times their body weight in fruit. So right after the first rains of the year, it's Kasanka National Park in Zambia. They eat 2 bats worth of food, and this is really important for the pregnant females. So they mate from April to June or July, and then there's a fertilized egg. And because they're mammals like us with fur on their body and they make milk for their babies, that egg is actually going to implant and connect to the mommy. And normally, if you were a human, once that egg was fertilized, our eggs and our embryos implant immediately in our uterus. But for the bats, they have something called delayed implantation. So they mate in late spring, early summer, and then that embryo does not implant until October when the mommies are eating all that fruit. So if the mommies don't get enough fruit to eat, they won't be able to feed a baby. So that the embryo does not implant until the mommies have enough fruit. And that's why they eat so much of the fruit. Twice a bat's body weight is to feed the babies that are growing inside of them. And then those babies are born at the beginning of the year up until about March. And then they're ready to mate again. And then an embryo will implant again the next year. Do we have any questions coming in?
Yeah. They want to know why they are always upside down.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe talk a little bit about
that is such a good question. So basically, they eat fruit. So they're not predators. They're prey animals. And actually, they're good bushmeat. That means humans hunt and eat them. And they sleep during the day when a lot of other animals are up. So what happens is if you try to sneak up on a bat, all they have to do is let go with their feet and open up their wings, and they're already flying away and escaping. So it's a really good way, sleeping upside down, for them to make a quick getaway. There is one time when they actually hang by their long thumbs, right side up, and that's when they're peeing or pooping. So if they went to the potty while they were upside down, they would go to the bathroom all over their face and their body, which is super gross. But in this position, they actually can hang by their long thumbs. And their wings are actually their hands. So bat means Chiroptera. That's our special scientific name. Chiroptera is bat. And chiro means hand. Like if you go to the chiropractor, it's a doctor who uses his hands to make your body feel better and healthy. And then Chiroptera, Ptera is like pterodactyl, which is a flying dinosaur. So Ptera means wing. So the special science name for bat is literally hand wing, because their wings are made from their fingers. And then I want to see if they want any more fruit, because remember, they eat a lot. This is just a snack. This is not their whole meal. I just want to see if we're still hungry. Does anyone want? You're like, yeah. Cantaloupe's their favorite. I like watching them eat the grapes, though. I think it's funny. You really don't want a grape? But I put it up here, and then you think about it, and you come get it when you're ready.
Can they walk, Molly?
No. So their feet are specialized. They have these clawed toes for hanging and grabbing. But if you put them on the ground, they kind of crawl on their bellies and try to pull themselves along with their wings. And it would be a very vulnerable position. They never come down to the ground in the wild. So that was something you would have to do to them, is put them on the ground. So because of the hunting for the bushmeat and because of their habitat destruction in Central and West Africa, they're actually critically endangered. And they like to chew on the bark of trees for moisture. And some people think they're hurting the trees, so they kill them for that. But it doesn't actually hurt the trees. The trees do fine. People have done studies on it, and a little bit of bark chewing is okay. Do we have more questions?
Are they male or female?
They're boys. So their names are Stellar and Lunar, and they're both boys. And these guys are fruit eaters, which means they have really good noses. So they have big noses to smell fresh fruit. And then they have really big ears, and you actually see those ears swiveling and listening in different directions. Because remember, they're out at nighttime. So they're listening, and they have big eyes, and they can actually sometimes see by starlight to see those colorful fruits and flowers in the trees. And they're also pollinators. So just like our bees, our butterflies, our hummingbirds, our moths, they help, they'll go to flowers and they'll drink the nectar out of the flowers, and then they'll go from flower to flower and help pollinate. And I think I actually have a picture of some bats going. This is a bat going to cactus. And see if I have a picture of them with some pollen on their face. One of these guys, I think is. Here we go. This picture might have some glare on it, but this is a guy who has a lot of pollen all over his face. You see his little tongue that he's stuck in the flower. And then This bat is maybe a little bit bigger than our fruit bats, but this is a fruit bat skull. So bats that eat fruit tend to be bigger than bats that eat bugs. And you can see those nice teeth for chewing up.
Okay, 2 questions that are maybe just a little bit about, are their legs weak? And then when bats are upside down after they eat, why don't they throw up? Like if humans got put upside down.
Good question. Their legs are not weak, because if you think about it right now, their legs are supporting their entire body weight. Their legs are holding on, and there are good muscles in their legs to keep their body up, and they can hang upside down 24 hours a day, pretty much. So strong legs, but if you flip them around, those legs would collapse, right? So they're not built for walking, but that doesn't mean they're weak. It just means they're different than how our body is made. And then why don't they throw up? Because their body has a special way of sort of pumping all of the food to their stomach and digesting it that way. And I think people actually can eat and drink while we're upside down. Our trachea will move the food from our mouth to our stomach. What usually happens when you're upside down is the equilibrium in your ear gets messed up, and a lot of blood rushes to your head, and that can make you feel kind of sick and woozy and dizzy, and you throw up because of that. But obviously their body pumps all their blood up away from their head. They have a special mechanism to do that, so they won't get lightheaded, and their equilibrium, they'd probably get dizzy if they were right side up for too long. So the opposite of us. Giraffes also have a special mechanism for pumping blood away from their head when they have to bend down to drink water. If you think how tall a giraffe is, to have their head go all the way up when they're standing tall and then go all the way down to the ground to drink water. Different animals have different ways to pump blood away from their head and move water up the giraffe's neck and to its stomach as they drink as well. We don't have that because we can just pick something up with our hands and bring it to our mouth. So we don't have any of those mechanisms, but other animals are designed for that. That's a good question.
Okay, and I think we have one last question, which is a really good one. It says, can you tell if they are fruit bats or bug bats or maybe vampire bats by their look?
Yes. Oh my gosh, let's play that game right now. It's so sorry. Okay. So, oh, I think I put some of the pictures away. Basically, so a bug bat is going to have huge ears for echolocation. That's how they make little chirping noises, and then it bounces off of a bug and it comes back and they catch it in their big ears, and they're going to have smushy flat faces. Fruit bats are going to have huge noses for smelling fruit and big eyes to see the colors of fruit and flowers. So I have lots of pictures of fruit bats. So see, fruit bats have big eyes and big noses. This looks like a little baby fruit bat. Here's another one. And so you'll notice big eyes, big nose. This is a crazy nose for smelling. Look at this nose. Look at the schnauzer on that guy. Here's a hammer-headed bat. These guys eat fruit as well. This is a tube nose bat for smelling. They have 2 tubes that come out of their nose. That's another picture of the tube nose. Okay. The only microbat picture I have is the one who lives in pitcher plants to catch those bugs that the pitcher attracts. But fruit bats tend to have really big wingspans. They tend to be much bigger than bug-eating bats. This is compared to a person, how big they are. And you can see her holding one. They are quite large. So fruit bats tend to be bigger, and they tend to have crazy big noses. That's it. All right, if that's it, we're gonna go type in any last questions you have, and then we'll see you next week. I think we're gonna have some invertebrates, which will be